Tennessee at Jacksonville Monday Night Football. Now, Marco, typically I turn to you and say, what should bettors be looking at? I think I've got the stat that bettors should be looking at, and you can tell me what you think.
Go ahead.
Tennessee Titans 1-10 ATS when they play a team with a winning record. Now, pretty massive number, and here's my rationale about it. Vince Young dominated in college, really was a great college quarterback. In the pros, he's done really poorly against the good teams. And the Steeler game this year was a perfect example. He actually got pulled in that game. And to me, I think it's analogous. When they're playing a team, they're superior. Tennessee's a superior team to their opponent. It's almost like college again. They're able to do their thing. He's loose. They get a lead. And they do well in those spots. When they play a good team, Tennessee has trouble. So that is unequivocally the case. The question is Jacksonville a good team, even though they have a winning record?
That's the thing. I mean, what you should be able to bet here is there should be a side bet. Do you want to bet Jacksonville Dr. Jekyll or Jacksonville Mr. Hyde? Because this team...
A literary reference from Margaret.
Hey, there's definitely been Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. I mean, they've got wins over Denver, Indianapolis, Buffalo is Buffalo, but they were 3 impressive wins. And then they got 2 absolutely ugly losses to San Diego and Philly where they got totally blown out, never in the ballgame. So which team's going to show up? They've scored 67 points in the last 2 games, which is going to set me up to where I think the value is in this game. I think because of last week's high-scoring game in the Dallas-Tennessee game, people are going to look at that, look at what Jacksonville scored in the last 2 weeks, and given what's happened the last 2 Monday nights, and I'll just tell you from a guy that's had a bet on the last 2 Monday night games, I've got sour grapes because I had a 7-6 game at halftime and a 9-0 game at halftime and had the unders in both of those and ended up losing them. The public's going to remember that. They're going to want the over this week.
Okay, so why don't you give, because I want to address a few of the points you made, but why don't you give us your official projection?
I think the value in this game is in the under. I think the total
is... It's Wednesday, we're taping this. A lot of time before Monday. But right now,
the total's 45. I see this game more as a 38 to 40 point final. So I'm going to recommend the under at this time.
Okay, so let's talk about some of your points. One is you said that Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, which really is another way of saying Jacksonville has been a high variance team. Their performances varied. Steelers, for example, are a low variance team. You always get a solid performance. The question is, like in the Ravens game, are they going to give up that late touchdown? But and the amazing stat about Pittsburgh, and I keep saying it, and it just keeps being amazing, is since 2009 when the season started, I know I'm getting off track, but it's such a good stat, is they've only been down in 1 game the whole year. So that's been 20 games, 16 games last year, 4 games this year. 1 of 20 games they were ever at any point in the game down by more than a touchdown. They were always either leading or within a touchdown in 19 of 20 games, every second of those games. Now, the Browns was the 1 game last year they weren't, so I hope that doesn't predict for this week. But Steelers low variance, Jacksonville high variance. You do not want to tease high variance teams. The points aren't as valuable. Jacksonville could win by 20, they could lose by 20. And since a lot of people look to tease the side and total on Monday night, I thought that'd be a little tip. Okay, Jacksonville is overrated. I agree with you 100%. Vegas agrees. Right now, well, I guess I'm saying I think they're overrated. Do you think they're overrated?
I definitely think they're overrated, but I think the reason that I don't see the value there is because Tennessee beat the most marquee team in the NFL, Dallas, last week, that there's some overrating to Tennessee right now, too.
So it's a little extra. There's a little premium on the Jags because they're overrated, but there's a premium on the Titans because of the Cowboys game, the way you see it right now. Now, Vegas says the Jags are the 26th best team in the NFL. ESPN says they're the 18th. So there's actually a significant difference where ESPN's looking at the Jags, and this is John Clayton, this is their A guys saying Jags aren't so bad. Vegas thinks they're one of the worst teams in the league. So now here's something that jumps out at me, and I'll let you finish up here, is Scouts Inc., which breaks down position by position with ESPN, they gave 8 of the 9 positions that they grouped together to the Titans. So think about that a second. In the NFL, you don't usually see that.
Mm-hmm.
So I find that interesting. And again, Jacksonville, though, is 18th by ESPN. They're experts. It's a very confusing game to me. And again, I think come Monday, it's going to clarify itself. What's the other factor or two before we get out of here?
Well, the other reasons that I'm looking at the under, besides the obvious that the value's there, because I think the line's high given the last few results, is you're talking about two quarterbacks that you want to talk about high variance. You said it. Vince Young's either really good, really bad. He can go up and down on the spectrum. Gerard is the same way for Jacksonville. This guy, I mean, this has been the problem with Jacksonville, why they haven't gone to the next level, which many times in the last few years they've been people's dark horse and they've never come to, prove that out. I think prime time with two guys that have had a history of problems of performing when they need to, you're going to see both the guys have an off game, and their coaches are going to try to protect them and not put them into situations where they've got to, force the ball downfield and make mistakes. That's going to tend to
so
the
it's
under.
the opposite of Manning on Sunday night.
You got that.
Now, before we head out here, one thing I'm proud of about, and this what hasn't been the smoothest video we've done, but one thing I'm proud of is someone else was talking about the old USA Network sports betting TV shows, Pro Line and all that. The guys in the suits with the slick back hair, and they had a script, and they read from the teleprompter, and they talked about, how they're certain of this and they're certain of that. And think about it. Is these odds, 11 to 10 is tough to beat. The line's going to be off by a couple points. The odds maker's usually not wrong most of the time. I mean, think about it. If the odds maker was wrong even 20% of the time, that means on a college or a college football Saturday, how many games are there?
Generally 50 to 60 games.
So in theory, you'd be playing, if there's 60 games, you'd be playing 12 plus games a Saturday if 20% of the games are off. And that's even 20%. So that means if you only bet 20% of Monday Night Football games, you're only going to be betting what? You're going to be betting less than like 3 to 4 a year if you only bet 20%. But you'd bet 12 Saturday games. Now, how many bettors out there do you think bet 12 games on Saturday but only 3 Monday night games the entire year?
None.
So there's a couple lessons. One, the line's oftentimes right. And when we are going back and forth and saying, well, what about this and what about this? That's the conversation that should be most valuable for the viewers and listeners, because it's the realistic way the sharp people think about these games. And number two, though, it brings up another point. Monday night can be a recreational bet. You can throw a tenth of a unit down and still care if you win, or I care if I win $5 or not. I can promise you that if there's $5 on the ground, I'm going to pick it up. So whatever it is that allows you to watch Monday night with more interest, but bet that differently most of the time than what you would on a big game, your game of the week on Saturday, I think that's valid. And the theoretical guys in sports betting, the guys with the green eye shades I always talk about, they'll say, well, you should only bet when you have a positive expectation of this percentage. And that's all true for your investments, but these are human beings that are betting. And one of the things we try to do at pregame is be realistic about our audience and try to help them. And that's why the handicappers typically have a Monday night pick, because it's an opinion one way or the other, but it's rarely their biggest pick of the week.
Right. And one thing I've always said, RJ, the fascinating about sports betting, we're here to make money. That's the bottom line. Everybody agrees. But it is also, for a lot of people, it's entertainment.
Oh, for sure.
And it's a form of entertainment that if you go to a movie, you spend money, but you get something for it. You have a movie and you got a good feeling. This is entertainment.
And with you, a tub of popcorn.
Absolutely. But this is a form of entertainment that you can have enjoyment, but also end up making money from the enjoyment. So, watch the Monday night game. Enjoy the Monday night game. Have a few dollars on it, and you can make some money. Then you can go to the movie and have that extra large popcorn.
All right, now it's your turn to continue the conversation in the comments section. And next week we'll be back with videos breaking down the betting analysis on all the biggest games.